Hello, this is psychologist Yulia Latunenko, and today I want to talk to you about a healthy family. Is it possible? Sometimes we mistake a family that is in complete codependency for a healthy one. So, are there actually any examples of healthy families nowadays? Let's talk about this today. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please subscribe. Give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the button and the bell so you'll be the first to know about my new releases. And leave comments, share my videos on social media. This really helps promote my YouTube channel. So what is a healthy family and what are its characteristics? And the first thing I'd like to start my video with is a very important trait, one that's crucial for any relationship, especially when it comes to close relationships. In a healthy family, everyone treats each family member's individuality with respect. But very often the question arises, do we even know how to treat someone's individuality with respect? And how would we know this if in our childhood our parents didn't know how to treat us with respect? So what does it mean to respect someone's individuality? In such a family, no one criticizes, belittles, reproaches, or uses methods of influence like reproaching, devaluing, lecturing, or treats any family member condescendingly. Right now, we're talking not only about the adult members of the family, but also about the children. And we all know from books that a child's individuality should be treated with respect. But how do you actually do that when you really want to criticize, to lecture, to feel your own importance after all, because a child is the very foundation on which parental narcissism flourishes? Very often it's precisely because parents teach their children. But ask yourself this question, are you really sure that what you're teaching your child is coming from a healthy place? Have you worked through your own traumas? Have you read books on developmental psychology, on age-related psychology? Ask yourself these questions, and if you haven't done so yet, please start learning as soon as possible about how to raise a child properly. So we got a bit sidetracked, but all of this is connected to respecting the child's individuality, because children are the most vulnerable members of the family, and a child's fate can be ruined with just a single word. This is very serious. Don't treat this like a weed that has grown in the garden or think it will just grow on its own and whatever happens, happens. So, in a truly healthy and supportive family environment, methods of influence such as harsh criticism, cutting remarks, lengthy lecturing, or even outright humiliation and cruel ridicule are simply not used at all. What else is important for all family members to know, for anyone who wants to build and live in an atmosphere of health, by which I mean psychological health, is that in a healthy family, in a healthy social group, no one makes decisions for anyone else. From an early age, when a child starts saying, I can do it myself, it's important to let them understand, even in small things, that they have the right to choose. Should I play with this toy car or that one? Should I wear these socks or those socks? Should I choose a skirt of this color or that color? In other words, you need to work on all of this. Very often, parents start making decisions for their children in small things, what they should wear, what they should eat, what they should do. And then it all leads to a situation where the child is already grown up, but the parents still continue to make decisions for them. That is, you need to have a sense of reality in order to stop in time and realize that there are some things the child can already decide for themselves. But it often happens that even adults make decisions for each other without asking, without agreeing on it. They just go ahead and make decisions that can unfortunately affect other family members. So be mindful of whether you are making decisions on your own without asking other family members about their needs and how they will feel after such a decision is made. Learn to consult with others instead of being condescending, lecturing, or just asserting your own narcissism. The second sign of a healthy family is the ability to have a dialogue. Everyone talks to everyone, but they build a dialogue directly, not through a third family member, as often happens in unhealthy families. In those cases, when a problem arises between two people, for some reason they involve a third family member and go tell them something so that this third person will influence the one with whom the conflict occurred. That is, you need to build dyadic relationships and not resort to triangulation. This is an important rule of dialogue. If something happens between 3 or more family members, then everyone should sit down together and discuss what happened, what feelings each person has, and which needs are unmet. You need to look for compromises, negotiate, and be very precise in these agreements. Don't pressure, don't devalue, and as I mentioned in the first point, don't lecture. And most importantly, when you are engaged in a meaningful dialogue or conversation, you should absolutely not use you messages. All those you messages are inherently violent methods of communication that frequently lead to completely unnecessary hurt and significant pressure being placed upon others. These are essentially methods of emotional abuse. All those you messages that are used in most families, as I already mentioned, are remarks, reproaches, and criticism. All those you messages can be replaced with I messages when we talk about our own feelings and needs. In this way, when we express I messages, all the energy of the person to whom the message is directed goes not into defending against feelings of guilt and shame. And in this way, the person can actually hear you and make some changes in your relationship. Of course, we all know that with psychopaths and narcissists, no I messages work. But today's video isn't about that. We're still talking about healthy ways of communicating within the family. And I suggest 3 options instead of you messages. If someone is dissatisfied with something, instead of making remarks, lecturing, or criticizing, they have 3 options. You can voice your request. If you're dissatisfied with something and feel like criticizing or blaming someone, please replace you messages with a request. Or if you are truly dissatisfied with something, you can certainly take care of it yourself. For example, perhaps your wife doesn't clean the house particularly well. Clean it yourself or ask her to clean better in certain places. Oh, my cat is making noise again. I'll let him out now. So the first option is to ask. The second option is to do what bothers you yourself. And the third option is to ask the person if they need a new idea to improve this matter. Do you need my advice? Are you interested in my opinion about this situation that happened? This way you don't intrude on the person's space or lecture them. You don't feed your ego or your narcissism. Instead, you ask and give the person the responsibility to decide whether they are ready to listen to you. So instead of using you messages, you should use three ways of dialogue. These are making a request, doing yourself what you don't like. And third, ask, do you need any ideas to help improve this situation? The person might say yes, and then you share your opinion, giving them the opportunity to accept it or not. Or the person might say, listen, no, I don't want to hear anything. I'll handle it myself. The next sign of a healthy family is respect for boundaries. How often do families neglect each other's boundaries? We intrude into the space of our loved one, partner, or child without even asking if the person is ready to listen to us or if they are ready for a conversation right now. We often pressure people, manipulate them. In doing so, we violate the boundaries of our loved ones without even thinking about what we are doing wrong and why our family members are so angry with us afterward. So we need to respect boundaries. And of course, we can't know where a person's boundaries are if they're psychological boundaries. If the person hasn't told us, we might not know. That's why you should ask, is this okay for you? Do you want to do this? In other words, be sensitive to boundaries. But if family members violate your boundaries, you need to say simple words like no and stop, which help regulate our boundaries. That is, do it freely, without guilt, without fear of breaking emotional contact. In a healthy family, all family members can say no, stop, I don't like this, I don't want this, or I won't do it. Forcing someone to do something is also a form of violence. Very often, instead of engaging the child or building a close emotional connection and trust, parents simply pressure the child to do something that the parents want. As a result, the child has no interest in interacting with such parents and retreats into a virtual reality where everything is interesting, where they can feel valuable and significant, where they can be a hero. This includes virtual games as well. And if we talk about the relationship between two adults, the same thing happens. The close emotional bond is destroyed, there is distancing, pushing away, and resentment. All of this gets swept under the rug, and then bam! And after 25 years, there's a divorce. And everyone says, oh, but you had such a good family. No one could have ever imagined that after 25 or 30 years you would get divorced. That's what happens when, in a family, people don't say simple words, no and stop. That's why if no and stop are spoken in a family, it's a sign that the family is trying to lead a healthy family life. Well, another sign of a healthy family is the absence of coalitions and triangulations, which I mentioned a little earlier. That is, everything is resolved through dyadic communication, meaning that family members resolve things one-on-one without involving others, as often happens when parents argue and involve the children. Children act as buffers between parents, coalitions are formed, mom loves the son, dad loves the daughter, and it's as if a kind of front line runs between these coalitions. This should not happen in healthy families. Next, I want to emphasize that this is not a narcissistic family model. We all know that there are narcissistic families in which all needs and all energy revolve around the parents' needs. First, the parents' needs are met, and only then the child's. The child seemingly exists in this family only formally, as an appendage, as a tool to serve the parents' needs. That is, when it comes to the child, their feelings and needs are considered only as a last priority. And usually the most such parents are capable of is feeding and clothing the child, and sometimes they can't even manage that. So here, a profound indifference to the child's fundamental needs and emotional well-being flourishes. And consequently, the child is often compelled and forced to serve the parent's own personal needs and desires. And now, if we're talking about a narcissistic family, then in a healthy family, when a critical moment happens, family members come to each other's aid promptly and very quickly. In a narcissistic family, as soon as you really need help, there's never anyone around you, as always. In other words, everyone just disappears. Complete indifference. Deal with it yourself. In healthy families, as a rule, there is no manipulation, blackmail, or threats to commit some aggressive act against a family member. There are absolutely no such manipulative and insidious tactics as the silent treatment, completely ignoring someone, gaslighting, intensely pressuring a person, or any form of manipulation, like, for example, the deeply ingrained and emotionally charged act of guilt tripping. This kind of influence can also be exerted by one or several family members, or manipulation based on the fear that you will be abandoned. All of this is a sign of an unhealthy family. And of course, in such pathological families, everyone is afraid of everyone else because everyone is codependent. The relationships are vertical, where someone depends on someone else, someone is on top and someone is on the bottom. There is no horizontal communication in such relationships. A healthy family is a partnership where even a child is raised to become a future partner. But this does not mean that all problems are dumped on the child. The roles are still properly assigned here. Parents are parents, children are children, and parents give while children receive. Therefore, respect for the individual, building partnership relationships, the absence of you messages, replacing you messages with I messages, and the absence of all pathological signs, all of this is about horizontal relationships where people reflect each other. We are equals, we respect each other. If we consider adult family members, feelings such as helplessness, powerlessness, and the fear that I won't be able to cope are absent in a healthy family. And of course, physical and any kind of emotional abuse, undue pressure, or profound disrespect, these are all undeniable signs of abuse. And all of this clearly indicates unhealthy and potentially damaging relationships. Also, I sincerely ask you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel and kindly like this video if you genuinely enjoyed watching it. And please write in the comments whether you have ever found any significant signs of unhealthy dynamics in your current family situation. Or if you are currently a single person, did you happen to notice such significant signs in your childhood family environment when you were a young child living with your parents? And finally, what I truly want to say is that a clear and undeniable sign of a truly healthy family is when it is genuinely allowed to openly talk about feelings, when people can freely and comfortably say heartfelt words like, "I love you." When people say, "I'm feeling quite irritated," "I'm truly scared," "I feel deeply guilty or profoundly ashamed," "I'm experiencing sadness right now." People often talk about their innermost feelings with specific words. In healthy and supportive families, no one ever has to guess or even imagine what you are genuinely feeling or experiencing. And it is your responsibility, your feelings, and how freely you can express them. In healthy families, verbalizing, that is, talking about your feelings with words, is not a sign of weakness or vulnerability. On the contrary, this practice brings family members closer together and makes relationships feel safe. So start talking about your feelings today.